I was born in Los Angeles, California, in the United States. This is my passport photo. I was 9 months old when my parents and siblings returned to Northwest England. In many ways, it is the start of my journey across the globe to retrace the traces of my cultural and national identity. My mother told me the story of how United States Customs wouldn't let me board a plane to England without a US passport. From that moment, I was always from somewhere else, and I would be chasing the identity of my birth country and that of my father's Chinese ethnicity. Grief manifests in many ways and imprints on a single photograph. With AI animation, I get to tell the story within the photograph, the story passed down to me. This photograph represents grief from leaving Los Angeles and grief from remembering that my parents are no longer alive to share these stories. My mother compiled 2 photo albums in her lifetime. The first was compiled of black and white photographs of her romance with my dad and the births of my older siblings. The second photo album was composed of color photographs of my parents' journey from England to the United States, from East to West Coast America, and the first 9 months of my birth in Los Angeles. The story of the journey and my birth was told many times by my mother when I was growing up in England. Her face lit up when she told the stories of our great American adventure, but she never hid the disappointment of returning to England so soon after my birth. The family album represented my American identity, and I developed my mother's desire, the what if and if only. Death is at the heart of photography. We cling to these images of the dead as evidence of them once being alive. We pore over the flat surfaces of our dead loved ones, wanting more than a photograph can ever give. In death, we are left behind in unsatisfied grief. As I pore over the Kodak photographs that captured the first 9 months of my life in Los Angeles, it hits me that these static images mean little without my mother's narration of her memories of our lives lived on the edges of the photograph. Storytelling is as much a part of photography as the technology that creates the image.
What is essence? Words like soul, aura, air, and core are familiar terms when describing that unique trait that a loved one has. We now can recreate our deceased with artificial intelligence, AI. Generative AI can recreate the digital likeness and speech of a person, and for the first time in humanity, our deceased can communicate with us via a chatbot, griefbot, or animated avatar. Of course, it's all trickery and wishful thinking because the dead are dead. AI technology recreates traces of our past loved ones and fools us into thinking that it's a real conversation. Yet, we want to be fooled. Anyone who has recently been bereaved knows that grief is raw and desperate, that we would make a deal with the devil to bring back to life our precious loved ones.
I am not dead yet, but what legacy could I leave behind that could convey my true essence? This is me at the allotment. Is this who I am? 10 years ago, this might have been a PhD about the essence of portrait photography in the 19th and 20th centuries. But here we are in the middle of a new technological revolution that can perhaps take us one step further to our deceased loved ones than still photographs and videos ever could. Grief tech is changing the way we communicate with our deceased loved ones and how we cope with their passing. Our digital footprint, such as texts, photos, videos, emails, and social media accounts, keeps us connected to the people close to us and across the world. AI voice cloning creates digital replicas of a human voice by analyzing and mimicking speech patterns such as accent, tone, and pitch. Is the essence of me someone who performs in front of the camera or behind the camera or both? How can AI recreate the essence of who I am and help the bereaved get over my future death? How does AI technology represent who I am in a more complete way than a still photograph? The messenger is the one who has died. The dead get to tell their own version of their life. But why not write an autobiography? My father wrote his, but he died before it was completed. And I have to confess that I would give anything if he had recorded a video or audio about his life. I would feel less alone in my grief. AI death technology allows communication between the living and the dead. A new identity is created for the dead in the digital afterlife. Perhaps a new essence. This is me bowling. I have been bowling perhaps only a dozen times in my life. I did work in a bowling alley when I was at university. Does this AI animated video show my true essence? I am pulling a funny face. Maybe these were happier times before a death in the family. Does this show the fun and up for anything side of my personality? Can artificial intelligence recreate the true essence of my identity? As we jump into an AI-driven future, the stories, memories, and voices of the past continue to resonate within the algorithms of our digital world. Whatever technology we use, ultimately the essence of human connection and the significance of genuine memories remain central to human agency. The evolution of technology has shaped the way we grieve, from the early days of photography, which brought images of our loved ones into our homes, to Facebook memorial pages that serve as spaces for remembrance. Incorporating AI into the grieving process seems like a natural progression. Adding a layer of interaction can be comforting, especially during the initial stages of loss. How is grief tech designed to communicate with the bereaved? Can artificial technology support or hinder the grieving process? Can AI represent the essence of who we are in a similar way as portrait photography? And if so, does AI replace photography's 150-year reign as an identity referent and vessel of memory? How do we check the authenticity of the words spoken by an AI persona? In the case of grief tech, authenticity is about being as close as possible to how the deceased looked and sounded. This depends on the volume of data entered into the chatbot. Even with vast amounts of training data, the chatbot might still provide inaccurate information. Responding to complex questions remains a struggle for photorealistic avatars and chatbots, as they lack the point of view and essence of the deceased. Those of us who have lost loved ones understand the connection we have with the objects and memories left behind. Many of us talk to the photographs of our lost loved ones or blow a kiss to their image, as I have done on many mornings. Digital human replicants are increasingly indistinguishable from actual humans. These digital clones, developed from predictive modeling or predictive analytics, are trained on our data, such as text messages, social media posts, photos, blogs, videos, and voice recordings. The more data available, the greater the AI to human authenticity. With the integration of advanced AI technologies and immersive tools like virtual and augmented reality, holographic projections, and robotics, virtual clones are increasingly more identical to the real thing. As we jump into an AI-driven future, the stories, memories, and voices of the past continue to resonate within the algorithms of our digital world. Whatever technology we use, ultimately the essence of human connection and the significance of genuine memories remains central to human agency.